Imagine the scene. Amy is out in the fields of Heartland, the sun setting behind the Rockies, when she hears a familiar voice call her name. She turns, and there he is, Ty Borden, standing in front of her, alive, smiling, as if no time has passed. The shock, the rush of emotion, the tears in her eyes, it would be the kind of reunion that fans have been waiting years to see. But the question is, could this actually happen in season 19? Or is it just a dream fans refuse to let go of? To understand why this reunion feels so powerful, we have to go back to where it all began. Ty wasn't just another character on Heartland, he was the soul of the story alongside Amy. From the moment he first arrived at the ranch as a troubled teen trying to turn his life around, his connection with Amy felt different. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't forced. It was a slow burn, built on trust, patience, and the shared love of horses. Their bond grew through challenges and triumphs. Ty wasn't only Amy's partner in training horses, he was her partner in life. They faced dangers together, like rescuing horses in trouble, standing against rivals who threatened the ranch, and even navigating their own differences as they matured. What made their love story so special was its authenticity. They weren't written as a perfect couple. They argued, they grew apart at times, but they always came back stronger. When Ty and Amy finally got married, it felt like the perfect reward for years of shared struggles. Their wedding wasn't just a celebration of their love, but a symbol of Heartland itself, a place where broken things can be healed, and where family always comes first. Soon after, the arrival of their daughter Lyndy gave fans even more hope. Ty, who had once been lost and broken, now had a family of his own, and it seemed like the Fleming-Bartlett clan had reached a place of peace. That's why Ty's sudden death in season 14 broke fans so deeply. It wasn't just the loss of a character, it was the loss of a dream that had been built over more than a decade. For Amy, it was the crushing reality of losing her partner and having to face life as a single mother. For viewers, it felt almost personal, like losing someone we had grown up with. Ty wasn't just written off, his absence left a permanent scar on Heartland. And yet, despite the pain, Ty's presence has never truly left the show. He lives on in Amy's memories, in Lyndy's smile, and in the way the entire family carries forward his values of kindness, courage, and second chances. It's this legacy that makes fans continue to ask, what if, against all odds, Ty came back? Would it undo the grief, or would it give the family and the audience the closure they've been longing for? When it comes to the question of Ty's return, fans are split between hope and reality. On one hand, Heartland has always been grounded in authenticity, never shying away from real-life struggles and painful truths. Ty's death in season 14 was one of those truths. It was sudden, heartbreaking, and final, at least in the story as we know it. The writers made it clear that this wasn't just a temporary absence. Graham Wardle, the actor who brought Ty to life, had made the personal decision to step away from the show, seeking new journeys in his own life. That choice shaped the direction of the series in ways no one expected, and it left Amy and the entire family to navigate life without him. But the thing about Heartland and about television in general is that stories have a way of surprising us. Over the years, countless fans have shared theories, questions, and even petitions online, asking whether Ty could somehow make a return. Some suggest that his death might have been misinterpreted, pointing to how rarely we saw his final moments in full detail. Others lean into more creative possibilities, Ty appearing in Amy's dreams, guiding her during a moment of crisis, or even a flashback episode that allows fans to relive an unseen chapter of their relationship. One of the strongest possibilities lies in the use of dream or vision sequences. Heartland has used this device before to connect characters with loved ones they've lost. Imagine Amy working with a troubled horse, reaching a breaking point where she feels completely alone, only for Ty to appear in a dream, encouraging her to keep going, reminding her of the strength she carries within. It wouldn't undo his death, but it would give fans the emotional reunion they've been craving while keeping the integrity of the story intact. Another option could be through previously unreleased footage or special appearances. Graham Wardle has a deep respect for the fans of Heartland, And while he has said that his time on the show has ended, he hasn't closed the door entirely on participating in a meaningful way. If the writers and Graham collaborated on a brief cameo, perhaps in a milestone episode, it could bring closure and honor both the character and the audience that has loved him for nearly 2 decades. Of course, there are also the boldest fan theories, alternate timelines, what-if scenarios, or even a miraculous twist where Ty's death wasn't final after all. These ideas may feel far-fetched for a show as realistic as Heartland, but they speak to the power of Ty's character. His absence is still so strongly felt that fans are willing to imagine any scenario that could bring him back. It's a testament to how deeply Ty and Amy's love story has resonated, and how much viewers still hold on to the hope of seeing them together again. At its core, the possibility of Ty's return isn't really about rewriting the past, it's about longing for one more moment, one more smile, one more embrace, one more chance for Amy to say what was left unsaid. Whether through flashbacks, dreams, or a creative twist, the idea of a reunion captures the heart of what Heartland has always been about: healing, connection, and the belief that love never truly disappears. After Ty's death, the focus of Heartland shifted in a way that nobody expected. For years, Amy and Ty had been the emotional core of the story, their partnership symbolizing hope, growth, and love. When Ty was gone, the spotlight turned to Amy's resilience. It wasn't just about surviving the loss, it was about rebuilding her life while keeping his memory alive, and in many ways, that became one of the most powerful storylines Heartland has ever told. Amy's grief was quiet but heavy. She didn't drown in despair, but you could see in her eyes and in her silences that part of her world had been shattered. Yet, Amy did what she has always done best: she turned to the horses. Training and healing animals became more than her career. It was her therapy, her way of staying connected to Ty. Many fans notice how, in certain moments, she would speak about him almost as if he were still there, guiding her. That subtle storytelling reminded viewers that while Ty might have been gone physically, he was always a presence in her heart. Raising Lyndy became Amy's greatest mission. For Amy, Lyndy wasn't just a reminder of Ty, she was a piece of him, living on, proof that their love had created something lasting and beautiful. Every milestone Lyndy reached carried echoes of Ty's absence. Her first words, her first time writing, her first day at school. But Amy transformed that pain into purpose. Instead of allowing her daughter to grow up feeling the weight of loss, Amy made sure Lyndy grew up knowing the strength of her father's legacy. In that way, Amy wasn't just raising her child, she was carrying forward the spirit of her husband. What makes Amy's journey so compelling is the balance between vulnerability and strength. She doesn't pretend that she has moved on completely, and Heartland has been careful not to erase Ty from her story. Instead, Amy has been portrayed as a woman learning to live with both love and loss at the same time. This duality is what fans connect to most, because in real life, grief never disappears. It simply changes shape, and Amy embodies that truth with quiet grace. There's also the question of whether Amy will ever find love again. Some fans argue that Ty was her one true partner, and opening her heart to someone new would feel like betraying him. Others believe that Ty himself would have wanted Amy to find happiness, to continue living fully even without him. The writers have left this space deliberately open, allowing Amy to focus on her family and her work without rushing her into a new romance. This choice has kept Ty's presence strong, even years after his death. If Ty were to reappear in season 19, whether through a dream, a memory, or something more, the impact on Amy's journey would be immense. It wouldn't just be about rekindling a love, it would be about Amy finding peace, closure, and perhaps the strength to take the next step in her life. A reunion scene, even in a symbolic way, could remind fans of how far she has come while still honoring the bond that shaped her. Ultimately, Amy's journey without Ty has proven one thing: love doesn't end with loss. It transforms, it lingers, and it fuels the courage to keep moving forward. And for viewers, watching Amy grow into a stronger version of herself while carrying Ty's memory has been both heartbreaking and inspiring. If Ty were to return, even for a single moment, the impact wouldn't just fall on Amy, it would ripple through the entire Heartland family. For nearly 2 decades, the Fleming-Bartlett clan has faced life's toughest battles side by side, but Ty's death was a wound that each member carried in their own way. His return, no matter how brief, would stir emotions that words can barely capture. For Jack, Ty was more than just a son-in-law, he was the grandson he never had, the young man he had helped shape from a troubled teen into a responsible husband and father. Jack saw in Ty the reflection of everything he valued: loyalty, hard work, and love for family. When Ty died, Jack's grief was quiet but profound. He wasn't the type to break down often, but the sorrow in his eyes said everything. If Ty were to appear again, Jack's response would likely be one of quiet gratitude, maybe even disbelief. Imagine the old rancher standing on the porch, hat in hand, whispering, "You finally came home, son." That single moment would carry the weight of years of unspoken love and loss. Lou's reaction would be equally powerful, though in a different way. She has always been the practical one, the protector of the family, the one who tries to hold everything together when life falls apart. Ty's death left her struggling to not only comfort Amy but also to find her own peace. If she were to see Ty again, her response would likely mix relief with anger that he left, anger that Amy and Lyndy had to suffer, but relief that, even in some form, he was back. Lou would be the one to voice the questions everyone else was too afraid to ask. Why now? Why here? And what does it mean for Amy and Lyndy? Her reaction would anchor the family in reality, even as emotions ran wild. Then there's Tim, a character who often struggled to connect with Ty but who grew to respect him deeply over the years. Tim's tough exterior has always hidden a softer heart, and while he may not have always shown it, Ty's death shook him too. If Ty were to appear again, Tim's reaction would likely come in the form of guilt over the times he was hard on Ty, guilt that he didn't say enough when he had the chance. For Tim, a reunion would be less about celebration and more about redemption. He'd want to make things right, to tell Ty how proud he was of the man he became, even if he never said it enough when Ty was alive. But perhaps the most emotional response would come from Lyndy. For her, Ty isn't a memory, he's a gap, a missing piece of her life she's only heard about in stories and photographs. A reunion, even in a dream, would mean she finally gets to meet her father face to face, to feel the warmth of his presence, to hear his voice telling her he loves her. The thought of Lyndy running into Ty's arms, even in a fleeting vision, would be enough to break and heal hearts all at once. It would be the most bittersweet moment in Heartland's history, reminding fans of everything Ty represented. In truth, the family's emotional response would mirror that of the audience. Shock, disbelief, tears, and perhaps a sense of closure. Whether Ty's return was literal or symbolic, it would unify the family in their shared love for him, reminding them and us that family bonds don't end with death. They linger, they echo, and they find ways to return when we least expect it. This is the question that has haunted fans ever since Ty's death. Could he really come back? On the surface, the answer feels simple. Ty's death in season 14 was final. It wasn't left vague. It wasn't teased as temporary. The show made it painfully clear that Amy had lost her partner, and Graham Wardle, the actor, openly shared that leaving Heartland was his choice, a personal decision to explore new directions in life. In that sense, the reality is firm. Ty's story came to an end. But when you look deeper, the possibility of Ty's return isn't just about plot lines, it's about storytelling choices. Heartland has always been careful to reflect the highs and lows of real life, but it's also a show that thrives on emotional connections, surprise moments, and the theme that love finds its way back to us, even in unexpected forms. That's why fans hold on to hope. Because in a series that has given us so many stories of healing and miracles, the idea of seeing Ty again doesn't feel completely out of reach. The most realistic path for Ty's return would be through dream sequences or visions. These wouldn't undo his death but would allow Amy, Lyndy, or even another family member to connect with him one last time. Heartland has used this technique before, showing characters speaking to loved ones who had passed on, often in moments of crisis. Imagine Amy facing an impossible challenge with a horse or struggling with a decision about her future, suddenly finding Ty beside her, offering comfort and guidance. It wouldn't change the storyline, but it would bring an emotional payoff for fans who've missed his presence for years. Another possibility lies in flashbacks. Heartland has a deep archive of memories between Ty and Amy, but there could still be untold moments, scenes from before Lyndy's birth, or private conversations never revealed. Even just one unreleased memory could be enough to give fans the reunion they crave. Flashbacks would also let Graham Wardle return in a way that honors both his choice to leave and the fans' longing to see him again. Then there are the bolder theories. Some viewers suggest alternate timelines or creative what-if episodes, where we glimpse how life might have looked had Ty survived. While Heartland has never leaned heavily on fantasy storytelling, the idea isn't impossible. Even a short, self-contained episode showing Amy and Ty raising Lyndy together could serve as a tribute, giving fans closure without disrupting the main story. Of course, the other side of the debate is realism. Heartland has always stood out because it doesn't rely on unrealistic twists to keep the story alive. Bringing Ty back physically could undermine the authenticity the show has built. The writers made a painful but honest choice, and undoing it could feel like betraying that truth. That's why many fans believe that if Ty does return, it should be through something symbolic, a dream, a memory, a vision, rather than rewriting history. So, is it really possible? In the strictest sense, no, Ty cannot return to Heartland as if nothing happened. But in the world of storytelling, possibilities stretch far beyond absolutes. Ty could return in ways that honor his legacy without undoing the reality of his death. And maybe that's what fans truly want, not a rewrite, but a reminder. A reminder that even though he's gone, Ty's love, his spirit, and his influence remain alive in Amy, Lyndy, and the entire Heartland family. At the end of the day, the question of Ty's return isn't just about a storyline, it's about what his character represents to millions of fans around the world. Ty and Amy's love story was never meant to be ordinary. It was about two people who found each other at their lowest points and built something beautiful out of pain, trust, and hope. That's why Ty's absence has left such a deep mark on Heartland. He wasn't simply written off, he was woven into the very fabric of the show. And that bond is something fans will never forget. Even now, as season 19 unfolds, Ty's spirit is everywhere. It's in Amy's quiet strength as she raises Lyndy. It's in the way Jack talks about family and legacy. It's in Lyndy's smile, which carries a spark of the father she never got the chance to truly know. Ty may be gone, but Heartland continues to prove that love doesn't end, it transforms, it guides, and it inspires. And that is why the thought of even a brief reunion still feels so powerful. If Ty were to appear again, even for a single scene, it wouldn't just be about satisfying fans' wishes, it would be about honoring everything he meant to Heartland. A dream sequence where Amy finally hears the words she's been longing for. A flashback of Ty holding Lyndy, reminding us of the family they built. Or even just a vision where Ty tells Amy to keep going, to trust herself, and to believe in the life they created. That kind of storytelling would bring both heartbreak and healing, reminding us why we fell in love with Heartland in the first place. But here's the truth, whether or not Ty returns, his story has already done what it was meant to do. It showed us that even in loss, there can be love. That even when a chapter ends, the memories we carry keep it alive. For Amy, Ty is more than a person she lost, he's the reason she found her strength. For Lyndy, Ty is more than a name, he's a legacy that shapes who she will become. And for fans, Ty is more than a character, he's a reminder that the bonds we form can outlast even the hardest goodbyes. So now, the question shifts to you, the fans. Do you believe Ty could or should return, even if only in a dream or memory? Would you welcome one last glimpse of Ty and Amy together? Or do you think the show should let his story rest where it ended? Every fan carries their own vision of what closure looks like, and Heartland has always thrived on the voices of its audience. Share your thoughts in the comments below. How would you imagine Ty's reunion with Amy and the family? What words would you want him to say? And most importantly, what does Ty's journey mean to you after all these years? Heartland has always been about family, both the one on screen and the one watching from home. And in that sense, Ty will never really leave. As long as fans keep his memory alive, as long as Amy continues to carry him in her heart, and as long as Lyndy grows up knowing who her father was, Ty Borden will always be a part of Heartland. The beauty of Heartland has always been its ability to mirror real life. It doesn't shy away from pain, it doesn't sugarcoat loss, but it also never forgets to remind us of hope. Ty's story is the perfect example of that balance. His journey from a troubled boy to a devoted husband and father was one of the most powerful arcs the show has ever given us. His death may have ended that journey on screen, but for fans, his presence has never truly faded. And maybe that's the magic of Heartland. It teaches us that some bonds are too strong to be broken by distance, time, or even death. If season 19 dares to give us a reunion, even in a fleeting moment, it wouldn't just be about bringing Ty back. It would be about reminding us of the love that started it all. Amy's tears, Lyndy's innocence, Jack's quiet pride, Lou's overwhelming relief.